What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys are from Free Love, man.
North side, south side, east side, west side. Perfect. It's the sauce, ho. You know what the fuck it is. From the east to the west, gotta represent. From the north to the south, gotta represent. They try to steal the sauce, but they ain't got the fresh ingredients. I know the round table, the real round table. Anything else, bitch, that's just an imitation. Shout out Wide, shout out Wink. What up, Tenny? What up, Ray Ray? What up, Spitz? 10 toes down since the beginning. If I miss you, I ain't dish you. Call the sauce line if you got an issue. From the Rockies, the Stros, Texas, the Dynamo, Houston's #1 sports show, brought to you by Honcho. Perfect. North side, south side, east side, west side. It's the sauce, ho. You know what the fuck it is. From the east to the west, gotta represent. From the north to the south, gotta represent. They try to steal the sauce, but they ain't got the fresh ingredients. I know the round table, the real round table. Anything else, bitch, that's just an imitation. Shout out Wide, shout out Wink. What up, Tenny? What up, Ray Ray? What up, Spitz? 10 toes down since the beginning. If I miss you, I ain't dish you. Call the sauce line if you got an issue. From the Rockies, the Stros, Texas, the Dynamo, Houston's #1 sports show, brought to you by Honcho. Perfect. North side, south side, east side, west side. It's the sauce, ho. You know what the fuck it is. From the east to the west, gotta represent. From the north to the south, gotta represent. They try to steal the sauce, but they ain't got the fresh ingredients. I know the round table, the real round table. Anything.
What the hell is Saw Sports or whatever that last call was talking about? What the hell is that?
Guys are from Free Love, man.
Yo. What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Ed Honcho, man. Y'all gotta start standing up. Be sitting down too fucking much. Anyway, welcome to Sauce Sports. If you're not familiar with Sauce Sports at Houston, Texas, Homer Network. We be talking all sports, but only Houston. I got a part making right. I'm trying to adjust this shit. You know what I'm saying? Do a couple things. Y'all know how we do in the Sauce, man. Hey, shout out your side with pride. If you are from the greater Houston area, let's get a Sauce Nation roll call. You from the east side, west side, south side, and outside. However you get down, however you identify, however you rock, you know what I'm saying? Your hood, block, cul-de-sac, avenue, boulevard, street. Well, you have to get the circles. I don't like traffic circles. We'd have been over there. We ain't finna get in that shit. What else? All that other shit. You gotta be on causeways. You gotta be on expressways. The E-way. That's it. I think they said that shit in Memphis. The E-way. The fuck is the E-way? Anyway, one, hope all of you lovely people are doing well this evening, right? I hope all of you lovely people are having a enjoyable evening. I hope all you got all your party favors together. I hope you got all your supplies together. Because tomorrow, the motherfucking Houston Texans are going to beat the dog shit, the DAWG shit out of the Browns. And the Browns, just like my boy Unger, ain't going to show up. Shout out to Unger, man. We supposed to link. I don't know what happened. It's all good. Holla at your boy. You know, ain't no love lost. Htown, Texas, what's the motherfucking deal? You know, I heard boys been talking down. I heard they've been talking down on the city. Remember them little weird Brown fans? They were talking down.
How they feel about Texas, I don't give a damn.
You know what I'm talking about? Htown 713, Jabari Mayo, Arturo Beckett, TD, LaMel from the logo, Broderick, Reverend Broderick Brooks, C4M, Big Al, what's the motherfucking deal? Joe Lee, what's the motherfucking deal? Let me see, Trinity Guards in the building, TG in the building now already, Jay Boogie. Let's see, John Aiken, what's the motherfucking deal all the way down in Livingston already? Wade, what's the motherfucking deal? Watch the film. You said you clicked on the link when you click it, because I was sitting in the thing waiting for it. Let me see. Give me a minute. I have to reopen all the things. 48 go send them to the county. Yeah, Uncle. I clicked it. Hold on, let me see. You might be in the meeting because I think I ended the meeting because when it hit 7 o'clock, I just went ahead and ended it. Give me just a minute. We'll see if I can open that back up. I might have to send a different link. Wise, what's the motherfucking deal? Herb Gotti, what's the motherfucking deal? Let me see. D Davis in the building. First 48. Everybody else claiming here is kind of gonna cook this first 48 over here. It's about to be a murder. Let me see if I can link up with my boy. You know what I'm saying? Let me see if I can link up with my boy.
The north side, the north side.
I see y'all up in here, man. I see north side in the building, man.
South side up in the door.
I know south side in the building, man. We're gonna start having some good time. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have us a good time. We're gonna get real saucy. Before we get into it, before I get into all that, I gotta say shout out to the two gentlemen I was chopping it up with yesterday in the evening. We weren't even in the sauce Discord. It was actually in the Den Discord, which was odd. But got me real amped, got me real motivated. Made me realize some things about this Salt City, Houston, Texas sports conversation that we've been having for a while now, right? So at this point, I'm telling you, man, I ain't tripping. Like I say, I ain't knocking people still. Less than creative, it is what it is. At this point, I'm no longer concerned. At this point, I no longer care, right? Because what we're going to keep doing in the sauce is doing what we do, because it can only be done the way we do. You know what I mean? So like I said, I got nothing but love for everybody who's doing whatever they may be doing, right? Because I got my mind on a mission. You know what I'm saying? So let's get it. Let's get it. Give me just one moment. Let me see what we got going on. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me see if I can send you another link. Give me just a second. Y'all give me a minute. Let me try to link up with my boy, Mr. Unger here, so he can represent for the the dog pound. Which is a weird thing, right? Because when you take dogs to the pound, they don't get adopted. You know what happens, right? Right. Give me a minute, Mr. Unger. Let me see what we can do here. Oh, shit. It just took the whole damn thing. All right, hold on. I don't play us fuck up, but I fuck up full speed. And then we double back and finish it off. All right. Let's see if we can make this shake. Give me just a second. I'm going to send you another link. And then we can make it rock. So what we're going to do today, though, I know because this is a pregame. Well, not necessarily pregame. Like, I might not even go to work at all tomorrow. Look, what is this? Why is this showing up in the background? What is this thing? No, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna say, we ain't going to work tomorrow. This is a holiday. Playoffs in the city, in any city except Cleveland, should be an automatic holiday, right? Because I got so much sauce to spill with y'all. We gotta have a pregame show tomorrow. It wouldn't be right. We're gonna have a postgame show. It's gotta be, right? And so I might work a couple hours and, get a sudden illness. Give me 1 minute, Mr. Unger. Let me see if I can open this up. But again, everybody in the building, make sure you hit that like button because we got a lot of shit to talk. Oh, Mr. Unger is ready to defend the dog pound because, Unger, that's my dog. That's my people. But we getting real saucy tonight. Let me see. Let me see if I can double back to the one that you were in. Let me see if that'll open up. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see what we got going on here. All right. I think we... Oh, hold on, y'all. Hold on. I see Mr. Unger there. We finna link up with Mr. Unger. Give me just a minute. Give me just uno momento, por favor. I ain't even seeing the chat. Y'all pardon me. I got shit all set weird today for whatever reason. Let's do this. Gotta switch the camera over this way. Wow, there we go. There we go. Shout out to Mr. Unger. Give me just one more. All right, cool, cool. Give me just 1 minute, Mr. Unger, while I switch the scene up over here so we can have it all nice and dandy. And I'm finna check the chat. Y'all better be behaving in the chat. There's a lot of miscreants and bad actors in the chat. Y'all better be behaving. Otherwise, nothing ain't gonna do nothing about it. So, I think I hope it's this one. All right, cool. And give me 1 minute. Do something here like that. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm loving this matchup, Unger. That's what I'm loving. I'm loving this matchup. I'm loving the rematch. I'm loving the revenge game. And I hope that the Browns, you as a Browns fan, you better be shaking in your pants. Because
I'll tell you this. I don't know if we're live or not right now, but I'll tell you this
right
much.
now, baby. We live.
All right. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything from that Week 16 game and thinking it's going to be the same type of game. No way. I'm not that stupid. Trust me. You guys didn't have C.J. Stroud in that game. Amari Cooper went off.
Yeah.
And Joe Flacco played great in that game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a whole different game tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much.
All right.
You guys were the team I least wanted to play in the wild card round.
Really? Why is that?
You really were. If you look at our defense all season, when we've gone against mobile quarterbacks, whether it's been Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Geno Smith, our defense, from my observation, has struggled. C.J. Stroud, although you guys don't call a lot of designed quarterback runs for him, at least from what I've seen, maybe I'm wrong about that, but either way, he does have the ability to be a mobile quarterback. He can extend plays. He can, if he has to, he can escape the pocket and get 5 or 6 yards on a play. So that scares me. That really does.
And I can respect that. I do have to respect, because I've been coming across a lot of Browns fans, man. They acting like it's going to be a repeat. I don't think, and again, the Browns have been banged up all year, so we got to commend y'all for being able to keep it together and make the run that you guys did. You got off from old man Flacco off the couch. Like you said, he had a great game against us. I talked a lot of trash that game, had to eat a lot of crow on it, but I'm glad we do get another shot with a healthier team. But you got a lot of guys. I've seen a lot of Browns fans talking about the Texans are too young. Your veteran presence is going to be the thing. I think a lot of people are discounting what happened last game because I don't think that they realize we had a lot of other key pieces besides CJ that were not available this game. And I think we're getting a lot of those guys, all except for maybe Hughes. We're getting a lot of pieces back that were not able to contribute that game. And I think it's going to be a significantly different. But I agree with you as far as the CJ. He's not really a runner. I mean, he can if necessary. So I don't know. I mean, I guess you could consider that a threat. But to me, you don't see him use his legs too much. I think he prefers to use his arm, and we know that he is masterful at it. So, let's advise the Texans fans. So those who may not be as familiar with what's going on with the Browns, what they've been through this season, even if they did catch the game, kind of give us a rundown on maybe your earlier season expectations and then how things kind of played out as the season went along.
I mean, we've had 5 different starting quarterbacks. You're familiar with one of them, Deshaun Watson, which
we don't say that name around here.
Okay, fair. Which I'll say it right now. Even as a Browns fan, you guys absolutely won that trade against us. I'm not even going to deny it and try and defend it. Personally, I didn't even want him. Given all of the stuff going on off the field, I don't really want to get into all that, but I just didn't want that. I was all right with Baker Mayfield. I just felt like he tried to be too much of a Cleveland tough guy, if you will, because Cleveland has always been that kind of blue chip, hard work kind of town. And when he sustained that shoulder injury, I think it was actually in week 2 against the Texans, when he threw an interception, he tried to make a tackle or something. That's when he hurt his shoulder. He tried to play through it the rest of the season. instead of getting the surgery. And I'm like, Baker, I get that you're trying to be one of us here in Cleveland, but you need to get the surgery. Shut it down and come back the next season. So that's my little Baker Mayfield rant. In terms of this season, though, I mean, I genuinely have no idea how we got to 11-5 or 11-6, whatever it is. I mean, we've had, Deshaun Watson. I know you don't like hearing that name. PJ Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Joe Flacco, Jeff Driscoll, even though that game didn't really count because we were already locked into the 5 seed, but whatever, have to throw his name in there. Our defense has really had to carry us most of the way, and they've done a great job of it. Jim Schwartz has come in and absolutely turned this defense around. Here's where it gets a little interesting, though. Arguably our best cornerback, Denzel Ward, is injured and most likely will not play. So that is going to be an advantage for the Texans.
So I have a question. So with that, because I feel like some interesting things are going on with Denzel Ward, right? Because he's saying that he hurt his knee, that he's not playing. But then earlier today, maybe a couple of hours or just a few hours ago, you see him on Twitter. He tweets out, I guess one of his little entrances or whatever his little pregame thing coming onto the field. So, I mean, has he been officially ruled out, or is there still a possibility of Denzel being able to participate in the playoff game?
I would have to check the injury report on that. So I'm not 100% positive about that. If I haven't heard that he's been practicing at all today, so if I had to guess, he's most likely not going to, which means Nico Collins is going to have a big advantage in this game. I hate to say it because he got injured earlier this season, which is completely unfortunate, but I'm glad Tank Dell is not playing because then I think we would really be in trouble. But let me say this. I hope Tank Dell gets back to full health and we can see him on the field next season with C.J. Stroud, because even though I'm a Browns fan, I saw a couple of your games when C.J. and Tank Dell were on the field together, and I'm just like this. Oh, this is going to be a badass connection as this team keeps building. You guys not only nailed the quarterback with C.J. Stroud, you nailed the head coach with DeMeco Ryans. He has been the perfect fit for you. You nailed the wide receiver with Tank Dell. No disrespect to Nico Collins, but I love Tank Dell. And you nailed the defense with Will Anderson. I mean, you guys are building something special down there in Houston. I got to give you all the credit.
Definitely. I got a question, though, because we kind of have a debate here in Houston, and I think, the last couple of games, especially getting back connected, I think that might have settled some questions. But outside of Houston, I want to get your perspective. And you kind of mentioned it. You say, no disrespect to Nico. Who do you see as more of a threat as an outsider looking in? Do you see Nico as a more dangerous? I mean, he's playing, of course, but if both healthy, who do you see as more of a threat on this Texans roster at the wide receiver spot?
You mean between Tank Dell and Nico, if they're both healthy?
Yes, sir.
I would give the slight edge to Tank Dell. But again, that's because from what I saw of the Texans, it looked like CJ and Tank Dell were really starting to get in sync with each other. It felt like if CJ was going back to pass, it felt like option 1 was Tank Dell, option 2 was Nico Collins, option 3 was Dalton Schultz, which that was also a very nice pickup for you guys. So you guys have a bright future. Hey, by the way, I just want to point this out. Even though I'm a Browns fan, I do have a little bit of Texans memorabilia. There's this, and then here's this. So just want to show you that even though I'm a diehard Browns fan, In fact, look, I have all pennants for every NFL team. So I show my appreciation for other fans and whatnot.
I wish I was as nice as you, Mr. Unger. So my thing is, I can respect that. You know, again, being a fan of the game, you know, being a diehard fan of your team and being a fan of the game. So I can definitely respect that. So let's kind of look at this matchup and kind of what's going on. So I know, you know, not only at the quarterback position, you guys kind of have some injuries along the line. You've had, I think, both of your tackles have ended up being replaced. And then, you know, let's kind of look at the trenches in this game. Like I said, we didn't really have Willie was kind of, can't even remember Willie played that game. I know Bernard went out early. If Willie did play, he was dealing with the high ankle sprain. And then we didn't have, like I say, Cashman. We didn't have, the defense wasn't healthy. And I felt like Amari was able to eat on a couple of backup corners because, you know, Nelson got hurt for a little bit. He was kind of in and out. And Jimmy Ward didn't have the greatest game. And then Petrie ended up getting benched that game. But kind of starting in the trenches. Like, what would you say about the backup tackles that you have, or the line as a whole, versus the Texans' current front? Because there's going to be a couple of different faces that you guys did not see in the first meeting.
And that's exactly why I'm not taking a lot from that first meeting on Christmas Eve, because this is the playoffs. It's a completely different season. How much information can you really take from that game? But yeah, we're without Jack Conklin. We have a couple other injuries. We have a rookie on the offensive line in DeJuan Jones. He's played decently throughout the season. So I think our offensive line has played well considering the circumstances, but I don't know what version of the Browns I'm consistently going to get offensively, because I could get the version, you know, that we had against the Arizona Cardinals where we just completely dismantled them, or I could get the version like against Pittsburgh on Monday night where we just couldn't do anything on offense. Now, granted, we lost Nick Chubb in that game, so that was a big blow. But it's almost felt like at times this season the Browns have been almost Jekyll and Hyde. And I'm like, I don't know what version I'm going to get. And that could be because, you know, we've had to rotate in so many different quarterbacks. Like I said, number 4, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, P.J. Walker, Joe Flacco, Jeff Driscoll. Whereas you guys, you had C.J. Stroud. He goes out with a concussion. Then you put in Davis Mills. And then you went to Case Keenum. And now you're back to C.J. Stroud. So you guys have had that kind of quarterback stability. We haven't.
I agree with that. It can be hard for a line to kind of get it together when you're having to kind of get used to the different styles of quarterback playing behind there. Speaking of quarterback, right? So we already talked about he who shall not be mentioned. We definitely have some very different views of him on this side. You may or may not agree, but he's currently your quarterback. Not our problem anymore. But with the way Joe has been able to play,
I want him as my quarterback.
but with the way Joe has been able to play, are Cleveland fans looking at Ford differently, or are they, with the success that you were able to have this season, are they anticipating his return?
I'll tell you this, Flacco mania has fully hit Cleveland. Like, everywhere you look, there are Joe Flacco shirts everywhere. It is insane. But I do think he who shall not be named will be back as the starting quarterback regardless of what happens. I have a little bit of a different perspective with this whole Joe Flacco thing, which may or may not make sense. And I'm curious. So before Joe Flacco was with us, he had a couple other stops with New York and Denver, but he started his career with our biggest divisional rival, the Baltimore Ravens. He was there for a while, like 2008 to 2018. And it didn't matter who was our starting quarterback. It didn't matter whether the game was played at First Energy Stadium in Cleveland or M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Joe Flacco and the Ravens almost always found a way to beat us. So if by chance the Browns do go on to win the Super Bowl, I'm not trying to look past the Texans, but I'm just putting out a hypothetical here. That's all. I'm literally just putting a hypothetical out there. If Flacco does go on to lead the Browns to a Super Bowl, yes, I'm going to go crazy. Yes, I'm going to celebrate and all that. But I just can't get myself to embrace Joe Flacco as our starting quarterback because personally, I can't forget or erase his time in Baltimore and how much he destroyed us. I just can't do it. Let me ask you this. Between the Colts, the Jaguars, and the Titans, who's your biggest rival in the AFC South?
It's the Colts, right? Because the Colts have been the team that has caused us the most headache, I would say, over our existence as the Texans. The Titans and Jags, even when we have had bad teams, it's either been we still end up stomping them or breaking even with them. So the Titans is only a beef because of the history and all the stuff behind that, the colors and all that bullshit. But with the Colts, I would look at as the rivals because those are the ones, when Peyton Manning was here for so long and all the issues caused, Andrew Luck was here and the issues he caused for us for a while. I would definitely say it's the Colts more so than anything. Other people may disagree. Jags are nobody's rivals. Jags are trash. They're their own the biggest rival. So nobody cares about the Jags around here. I would definitely say the Colts for as far as on the field. The Titans for personal reasons because they were the former team.
Okay, fair enough. So let's just say, for example, Andrew Luck, after years of beating the Colts, decided to become the Texans quarterback. Could you fully embrace him, or would you kind of have reservations because of his history with the Colts?
I would like to say I have reservations, but if you got with the winning team to get us a ring, winning alleviates pain and old wounds. And I'm telling you, especially if you're talking about taking you to a place that you've never been before, I'd be willing to overlook it, right? I'd be willing to overlook it. 'Cause, I mean, shit, the Super Bowl is a very elusive goal, right? And so,
that's true.
If you get there, whoever takes you to get there, hey, I'm going to take whoever I'm riding with. Shout out to Pat Fool, man. Good to see you.
I did see an interesting theory on Twitter earlier.
Yeah.
Joe Flacco, back in 2012, when he led the Ravens to a Super Bowl 47 championship, he beat an AFC South team in the wild card. Then he beat the number one team, or the number one seed in the AFC divisional round. Then he beat the number 2 seed in the AFC championship, and then he beat the 49ers. So could the stars be aligning where the Browns go on a similar type of path? Because if the Browns win this game, that means we're most likely headed to Baltimore next week. And if we beat Baltimore next week, that means we would most likely be headed to Buffalo the following week for the AFC championship. I'm just putting it out there.
I respect that, but I hate to burst your bubble. None of us having the Texans are winning this game, and those are good hypotheticals. That's great, but really though. So I kind of got a question. So you guys you inquired about our rivals. The AFC North is pretty stacked this year. It had a lot of good teams. Do you see the Browns?
Yeah, nobody had a losing record.
Yeah. Do you feel like the Browns are going to continue to be able to be dominant in that division, or are there any other teams that concern you more so in that division?
Obviously, Baltimore. And, I mean, you guys completely destroyed the Steelers. So I give you credit for that. But yet, somehow, some way, Mike Tomlin continues to avoid having a losing season. So you can't discount the Steelers. And Joe Burrow is going to come back and be healthy next season. Although we seem to kick Joe Burrow's ass just about every time we play him. So I'm not too concerned about that. But Baltimore is number one on that list because Lamar Jackson, I mean, I don't know how you game plan for him. with what he's able to do in terms of throwing the football now, running the football. I mean, it's Baltimore for me. For me, Baltimore is our biggest rival. I know a lot of Browns fans say it's the Steelers. No, the Steelers have kicked our ass way too many times. There haven't been enough games where it's like, okay, if the Browns beat the Steelers, then the Browns are in the playoffs and the Steelers are eliminated. Or, if the Browns win against the Steelers, then Steelers are eliminated and another team gets in the playoffs. Like, it feels like too many times it's just, Steelers are coming to town. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Let's move on to the next week. Whereas with Baltimore, I feel like, especially recently, a lot of the games between the Browns and Ravens have come right down to the final seconds. And it's felt like Browns-Ravens has started having those type of meanings, those consequences, whatever word you want to use there. That's been my perspective, where the Browns and Ravens are fighting for the AFC North and this game could decide who wins it type thing. Or, like I said a couple minutes ago, if the Browns win and the Ravens lose, Browns are in the playoffs, Ravens are out. That's the type of game I like.
So let's be honest about it. Historically, the Browns have not been a very favored franchise when it comes to wins and losses.
No.
But as of recently, there seems to be a little bit of a turnaround happening in Cleveland. What would you attribute most to that? The successes that you're starting to have recently. What do you think is the biggest factor in that?
Not firing our head coach and general manager after 2 or 3 seasons. Because you probably know this. We have a tendency where it's like, 2 or 3 years, it didn't work. Fire the head coach, fire the general manager, and bring in somebody else. And I'm like, that's not how it works. Look at teams like New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Why are these teams having as much success as they are? It's because Bill Belichick was in New England for like 24 seasons. It's because Mike Tomlin has been in Pittsburgh for over 10 years. I think it's like 17 seasons or something like that. John Harbaugh has been in Baltimore for years. They have stability. They went right from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson. Granted, Pittsburgh's having a little bit more quarterback trouble, and so is New England. But still, like, they built cultures. They built a winning locker room. And I feel like we're starting to do that now with Andrew Berry as our general manager, Kevin Stefanski as our head coach. Like, I feel like we have that stability now.
I almost got attacked by a vicious spider. It was very dangerous there, so I had to fight for my life. My apologies, y'all. I almost died from a small jumping spider. But no, okay. So you feel like actually allowing some consistency to develop has been the biggest success for the Browns. Okay. So do you feel like this is going to be a long-term thing? Do you feel like it's temporary? Is it fleeting? Or you guys have a solid foundation for success? Do you expect to continue to compete for the next few years in the North with Lamar Jackson and Burrow and these guys?
Right. I think it depends partially on if we can keep Jim Schwartz at defensive coordinator, because I know he's expressed a desire to want to be a head coach again. If we can keep Jim Schwartz as our defensive coordinator, I think we can continue to have the success. A lot of it, though, depends on the guy you traded to us. We haven't seen him stay on the field consistently. When he's been on the field, it's been a mixed bag, and he's only played a couple good games here and there. It's more like he plays a great first half, and then in a different game, he'll play a great second half or whatever. But overall, I just haven't seen a big enough sample size from number 4, I'll say, to really say, what he is as our starting quarterback. But as I said earlier, I did not want to trade for him. No.
So I mean, with the injury, are there concerns in the Cleveland fan base with the particular injury that he has, and him coming back and being able, like you said, it's kind of been a mixed bag. You haven't seen that consistency. I wouldn't say he's played how he's been expected to play. Does that concern?
Not at all. Me personally, it does. I don't really know what the general fan base thinks because we haven't seen a big enough sample size from him. Granted, in the second half of the Baltimore game, he was dealing with a broken shoulder and he went out and put on the performance that he did and led us to the comeback win against Lamar Jackson. But I really don't know. If Joe Flacco leads us on a deep playoff run, what's the reaction going to be like when, number 4 comes back as the starting quarterback next season? Because given his contract, you're not going to make him the backup quarterback.
Again, that's concern. That's kind of something that we've kind of been watching on this side. I said, say it does happen, it's not going to happen. Guys are not going to beat the Texans. Like I wish y'all all the luck in the world every other week, any other time, any other opponent, just not this week. But
either way, I apologize we weren't able to connect during Christmas Eve. I was down in Florida with cousins and stuff, so
no, it's all good. It was just kind of a hectic week. Things happen. It is what it is. But a good thing fate as it may be, we were able to still link up this season, so that's definitely good. But again, I think that's the question. Say if Joe does take you on a run, I think even with the relative success Joe has had now, I almost think it's something you consider because, like you said, when Ford was available, he wasn't playing well consistently. He looked like he might get off, but then it just wasn't there. And then, like I said, the injury you have, and I felt like those couple of years off are definitely going to be detrimental. So, I mean, and as a fan, a former fan, him being I wish all the bad happens to him. So in that department, I hope, that there is some type of fallout, quarterback controversy, whatever you do have. But I kind of want to get back to the game and kind of what's going on now. I'm sorry?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Being that the Browns are playing the Texans in the playoffs tomorrow, do you wish number 4 was our starting quarterback?
Absolutely. Because and again,
okay.
like out here, we don't think very highly of number 4. And not even just because of, the things that happened, the way he left, more so because you're talking about a team that drafted him, a team that gave him opportunities that other teams, he got skipped by 13, 14 other teams and, get a chance to play, people doubt you, to show your talent. And then you leave the city after you do all of this debauchery and duty diddling. And then, like I say, most people leave with a little bit of respect. They'll say, hey, I thank the city for the few years that we did, things that were good. He acts like the people of Houston did something to him when he's really the perpetrator. You know what I mean? He's the pervert. And so, that's something we talked about before he left. And I always ask people for that, and then it kind of became a big thing. Early on, when a player has, played for a few years for a team, even if it was good, if it was bad, whatever it is, usually you see some kind of op-ed, something in the paper. Hey, thank the city, a little article, something like that. Nothing, never spoke on it. The way he handled it was real effeminate in my book. So we don't have a lot of respect for him. And then the fact that, you came back here to play, at the very least, you would think, hey, if you're supposed to be our leader, you're supposed to be our guy. Why are you not on the sidelines? Why are you not, with the team, at least showing, hey, I have that support? So I have a lot of concerns. And again, maybe players don't look at it the same way we do, but I think his integrity is shown to be lacking, and especially coming back here, again, like I say, it shows cowardice in my opinion. Because like I say, we never did anything to him out here in Houston. He did shit, he got caught for it, and then he kind of acted like a broad and left. So there's very little respect, if any, for Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. But we definitely would have liked to see him. We definitely would have liked to see him end up in the dirt several times. Not a lot of love, not a lot of remorse, not a lot of emotion, positive emotion towards number 4. So, but definitely would have liked to see our new
completely
guy defeat the old
understand
guy. That's kind of where it would have been.
I completely understand that. And if I were a Texans fan, I would share the same opinion on that. So I totally see where you're coming from. Like I've said multiple times on this show so far, I personally did not want to trade for him. Given all the shenanigans and bullshit that came along with him, I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like dancing on the table and running into the streets going, "Yay, we got Deshaun Watson." I was like, okay, I guess. And then we go out and give him $230 million fully guaranteed. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we haven't seen this guy on the field in 2 years. You're just you're giving him this giant contract on a hope and a prayer, basically, that he can get back to what he was in 2019 with you guys when you guys got all the way to the AFC divisional round and you took that big lead on the Chiefs. I don't want you to relive that memory. Well, I kind of do, but
for some Texas fans, that's a sore spot. For me, not so much, because I lost faith that season when we lost to Denver, and so even when we were up in that game, never got excited.
Okay.
Never just it was just a negative cloud hanging over. I knew there wasn't going to be, so it is what it is. But I think people with the addition of CJ, people have forgotten all about that, and we're definitely ready to move forward. But yeah, just not a very legitimate guy in our book.
Fair enough. And you guys have had some head coaching problems too. Like you had Bill O'Brien, you had Lovie Smith. I forget who your
the legendary David Culley.
Left, do it
Yeah,
right,
David
do
Culley.
it left, do it right, do it.
You look at what the perception was of the Texans over these past few years. It's like, oh, nobody wants to go there because the McNairs have no idea what they're doing and running a franchise. They're firing coaches after one season and all this and that. And then what do? You go out, you hire DeMeco Ryans, which, like I said earlier, perfect head coach for you guys. Absolutely perfect. You go out, you draft CJ Stroud, you trade back up to number 3, you get Will Anderson, you go get Tank Dell, you go get Nico Collins, you make all these great offseason moves, and look what's happened to you. You guys won the AFC South, which on another podcast that I do, I predicted that you guys were going to win the AFC South. So, hey, at least I was right about one thing. And I think CJ Stroud is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And I would not be surprised if DeMeco Ryans wins Coach of the Year. Although, let me just say this. I think Kevin Stefanski also has a strong case for Coach of the Year.
I think more Stefanski might end up getting it because everything he kind of overcame, and even in the head-to-head, you're talking about two teams both facing injuries, both having something to fight for. And in that match, that's why I think if DeMeco did have an edge in the Coach of the Year conversation, I think he kind of lost it right there. And with the successes that you're able to have, like again, I think he's still in the conversation.
For sure.
But I think I don't know. I don't know how much of an edge he does have. But real quick, let's kind of get into it because, like I said, there's a bunch of differences between this meeting and last meeting. You mentioned Amari earlier, and Amari had a decent season with about 1,250. I want to say 1,250 yards, something like that. I mean, he had a decent season. Wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
Definitely the game he played against us put him over the 1,000-yard mark easily because he got a quarter of the shit in that game. But, it's Kaylee Griffin's not Cleveland. But now it's a situation where, again, I think we're a little bit healthier on that end and not necessarily so much more so in the secondary because, again, Ward's gone. But we've picked up a couple of guys. We went out and brought back Kareem Jackson. I'm neither here nor there about it. I'm not a Kareem hater. I don't think it just makes that big of a difference. But the guys up front, I feel like being healthier this game, because we weren't able to get to Joe last game. We weren't able to put a hand like Joe was able to, make some popcorn back there, scroll through Netflix and do what he wanted to. He had all the time in the world. We weren't able to put that pressure on him. Again, with guys like Grenard, our sack leader, going out early, Anderson not being available. And it's just, it's a situation. I see it much differently now because, like I said, you have that health up front. And I feel like Joe will not be as comfortable this game as he was last game. What matchup do you see, or do you feel like Texans fans should be most concerned about from a Browns perspective? Who do you feel like is the guy that Texans fans need to watch out for? Shout out to J Mel for the super saucy super chat love. Appreciate it.
Yeah. By the way, I know I'm a Browns fan, but Sauce Sports fans, if you guys could come over and subscribe to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm at 546 subscribers. I would love to get 600. That's one of my New Year's resolutions.
Go show Unger some love, goddamn. If y'all fuck with the sauce, y'all know Unger fucking with the sauce. I fuck with Unger. Y'all make sure y'all show Unger some love. He came in here, he educating y'all on the Browns. Y'all go rock with Unger, man. Make sure you subscribe to Unger channel. I'll make sure that I post it on the deal after the stream. I'll also make sure I link to it.
But to answer your question, David Njoku, our tight end, since Joe Flacco became our quarterback, I feel like David Njoku has been the game MVP for us a couple times. Like, I think the reason we won the game against the Jaguars late in the season was because of David Njoku. The game against the Jets on Thursday Night Football, I felt like, again, David Njoku was the game MVP. So him and Joe Flacco have been building a nice chemistry. So I would watch out for David Njoku against your linebackers. If David Njoku is able to establish himself early, then your linebackers may have to change their coverage, which could allow the middle of the field to open up for guys like Cedric Tillman, if he's healthy, Amari Cooper, David Bell, Elijah Moore. So I would say David Njoku, our tight end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's going on with Amari? Because I saw Amari missed a couple of days of practice. Is it just old man rest time? Are there concerns about Amari this game, or what do you feel is what's going on with that?
I haven't really heard anything about him missing practice. I would fully expect him to play. Do I think he's going to have as big of a game this time around as he did back on Christmas Eve? No. But by the same token, I'm very interested to see how the Texans defense adjusts to him. Because I remember you guys played a lot of the two safety look last time, and Amari was able to consistently get open. Yeah. And maybe that's because of your injuries. We'll see tomorrow. But I'm going to be very curious to see what kind of defensive adjustments you guys make to slow down Amari Cooper. And if you do, who's going to step up for us offensively? Is it going to be Elijah Moore? Is it going to be David Njoku? Is it going to be David Bell? Is it going to be Cedric Tillman? Could it be Jerome Ford from our running back? Could it be Kareem Hunt? That's my biggest question, I think, for this game is if you guys manage to take away Amari Cooper, who's going to be the guy that steps up and says, okay, I'll be the guy today for the Browns offensively? Let me ask you the same question. Let's say we take away Nico Collins, okay? Who do you think is going to be the guy that steps up and says, okay, I'll do it for the Texans? Who's that guy?
I'm leaning two ways. Because I feel like in our last matchup, you guys knew Case wasn't going to do anything. Davis didn't come in until garbage time. Second and third string was in. And for whatever reason, Texans fans got really excited about that, which is kind of weird. I'm looking at two guys from the running back position. I'm looking at Singletary because I feel like last game you didn't have to respect the pass as much. I mean, Case wasn't throwing anything over 8 yards, if anything. So I felt like, they're kind of keying on the run more. But I think now with CJ back there, you have to respect the passing game, and I think that's going to open it up for Singletary to have some success. But if we're talking about from the receiving aspect,
yes,
I think it's going to be a tight end position as well. I don't know if it's going to be Schultz. I don't know if it's going to be Brown. Brown's health is a thing that concerns me, but he is capable of having those big games. I think Schultz is more consistent, and Schultz has been much more aggressive as of late with the ball in his hands. So I feel like Noah's capable of the bigger game. You know, if he does go off, I mean, he's had a couple of really good games. I want to say he had one for he dropped 175. I was thinking another maybe 160, 130, somewhere between that. I can't remember exactly, but he's had some huge games for us. But again, the consistency is not there. But if any game for him to have a huge game would be this one. So I would say probably Noah if we're talking from the pass catching perspective.
Okay, so we're kind of on the same page, which, from what I'm hearing, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I always have an issue saying his last name, and Sione Takitaki are really going to have to step up for us because they kind of control the middle of the field, which, if Sione Takitaki makes a big play, a lot of the people on my channel know this. I don't know where this came from, but for some reason, if Sione Takitaki makes a big play for us defensively, I like to say Taki Taki Taco. Don't know why. Don't know where it came from. Never had a Taki Taki Taco, so don't know what it is.
It sounds like something that'll give you heartburn.
I'll have to go in the kitchen one day and actually create it. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I can start a taco business. Yeah. But that's probably just a faded dream. Yeah. But
so I think we both look at that situation too, because who is it? The young guy, and I felt like he really could have been taking advantage. I know he's one of your better corners. What is it? Emerson plays real aggressive.
Oh, MJ Emerson, yes.
Emerson, and then and with Board being kind of questionable, I know that's interesting. But again, you have a pretty solid duo. We got Nelson, he's had some games where he's been kind of like, but I'll do that more to injury. But Nelson has been one of the better corners this year. And Stingley, who was a guy I admittedly originally was not wanting, because I did want Sauce Gardner for marketing reasons, as well as I just preferred him as a player. But Stingley has come on this year and shown that he is one of the top corners in the league, and you have to respect his game. So,
yeah.
I mean, if Nelson is good to go, Stingley is good to go, does that concern you? Because Flacco's a guy who will turn the ball over. I mean, he's been able to overcome it, but he will turn the ball over.
Yeah. Flacco, he's a veteran, so I think that does help, especially going on the road in what should be a pretty hostile environment in Houston tomorrow. So I think that does help. But, yeah, the fact that you guys are most likely going to have your defensive backfield fully healthy does concern me. Adversely, like, if Denzel Ward is not able to play, that does concern me, given you talked about how young MJ Emerson is. I like Grant Delpit, but he hasn't shown me that he can consistently, play and all of that. So, yeah, our defensive backfield concerns me. So I would say yes.
Okay. All right. So looking at it again, like I say, so we're kind of just kind of picking your poison, and we kind of mentioned we've exchanged thoughts on this. Who is a guy that defensively you see on the Texans that kind of stands out that individually scares you?
On the Texans defense, I'd have to look at their roster. Kareem Jackson is definitely like the first guy that comes to mind for me. I'll be honest, I'm not completely familiar with the Texans defense, so I'd have to look them up, which I'm doing actually right now as we speak.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay, well, let's look at another matchup again. Let's take a guy that y'all are a notable defensive player for you guys, and Myles Garrett. And I know he's a guy that can be a game wrecker, but he hasn't had much success against Laramie Tunsil. And if I believe he didn't have any sacks last game, what do you feel about Myles and his ability to get off and maybe be able to get to CJ this game?
Yeah. By the way, I want to just point out Will Anderson scares me on the Texans defense. Derek Barnett, who you guys recently picked up from the Eagles, that's a scary dude. Jerry Hughes, and like
Hughes,
I said,
should be out this
Jackson.
Game. Yeah, I think Hughes. I think they've already deemed him out for this game. So, but yeah.
Okay, so that helps us a little, but like I said, Will Anderson, Derek Barnett, Kareem Jackson, those are the main guys. Yeah. But in terms of Myles, I don't know, because again, from my perspective, our defense has struggled against mobile quarterbacks. Again, Lamar Jackson, Geno, Russell Wilson. And even though you guys won't do designed quarterback runs for CJ, he still has the ability to run and gain 5 or 6 yards on any given play. So can Myles Garrett stay with it if a play breaks down and CJ starts running? Can Myles stay with it and continue to chase him down? And can Zadarius Smith be there on the other side? That's my big question for you is who concern? Obviously, it's going to be Myles Garrett. But here's the thing. If you double Myles Garrett, that means Zadarius Smith is getting single coverage. And we've seen what he can do this season. If you double Zadarius Smith, then you've got probably the defensive player of the year coming at you. Yeah.
Like I say, depending on where he's lining up is what concerns me most about Myles. Because again, one-on-one with Tunsil, he's had struggles. He has not. I want to believe that Tunsil's had the most success against him. I think that one, I'm going to say the stat was like since 2019 that he's only had like a 1.7 pressure rate, success rate, something like that against Tunsil. Something crazy. I'm not really with the advanced analytics. It's shit's weird, but it's an interesting thing to note because it shows that as good as Myles is, and Texas fans have their own personal complaints about Tunsil here and there. He's still been one of the better tackles in the league. That almost makes you feel a little bit more comfortable when he is lining up against Tunsil. I don't know if Browns know that. They acknowledge that and they say, hey, maybe we keep him away, find other ways to get pressure. But Myles is a guy, he is, again, he's had success up to this point. This could be the game where Myles goes off. He's just a guy that you have to be concerned about.
Sure.
And I would say keeping an eye on the Ward thing is probably the other. And like I said, the young kid, what's his name? He's good. I just think he gets away with a little bit, or I felt like he got away with a little bit of extra contact Emerson last game. So I don't know if they're going to be calling it tight this game or if they're going to let him play. I hope they let him play. I prefer them to let him play. And if so, then he's a guy I have a little bit of concern about.
Yeah, I'm looking at the injury report right now. It says Mike Ford, one of our cornerbacks, is questionable. Denzel Ward, questionable. Juan Thornhill is questionable. That would be a big loss for us if he's not able to play. He's one of our safeties. Pierre Strong Jr., running back, he's questionable. And Grant Delpit, also a safety, is on IR. So he will not be playing. And by the way, you were right. Jerry Hughes is out for you guys. Yeah. Do you think that the loss of your fullback, Andrew Beck, or he's listed as questionable, but if he's not able to play, would that be a big impact on the Texans offensively?
You see Beck get implemented here and there. And they had a touchdown last game, I believe, as well. He's left wide open. And I like Beck personally. I know there are some in the South, some in the Texans fan base who are not big fans of him. I don't think it hinders us greatly. It's just, of course, if you don't have available an option that you go to from time to time, but it's not going to stop the Texans from doing what they're doing. He's not that heavily involved in the offense.
Fair enough.
Okay. So here's the deal. All I'll get one or two more questions in because what I do want to do is I want to open up the line, see if we can get some calls in here in a little bit, or I'm going to see how we'll handle that. But does anybody have any questions? If you're in the sauce, you're in the chat right now. Questions for Unger. And I see a couple of people. Shout out to everybody who did go show Unger some love. I put it in the chat. I see a few of you did say that you went and subscribed to the channel. Because like I say, hey, Sauce Nation, we got love for everybody. So let's get Unger to that goal. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again. So if you're not subscribed to Unger, go show Unger some love for coming to the sauce and rocking with us in the sauce tonight. And being a good sport, definitely coming into enemy territory. So, and again, enlightening us, informing us from a Browns perspective. You know what I mean? So much respect to Mr. Unger. So let's put it out there, Mr. Unger. In your opinion, when you're looking at this game, when it's all said and done, you can be as biased of a Browns fan as you want to be. How do you feel like this game ends up when the clock's
So
all
let me
zeros?
say this.
Yeah.
So let me say this. Even though I'm a diehard Browns fan, if I don't think the Browns are going to win, I'm not going to pick them. So I'm not going to predict during the regular season that the Browns are going to go 17-0 and win every single game.
Oh, I will.
But I'm not that crazy. I did check the line. The Browns are holding steady at about a -1.5 point favorite. I'm not surprised that the Browns are favored in this because we beat you earlier in the regular season. But again, personally, I'm not taking much stock from that game. But if I had to make a prediction, I think you guys keep it really close with us. This will not be a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's a little bit lower scoring, actually. I'm going to say Browns 24, Texans 21. So only a 3-point game.
So with the current concern about the because are you in your kicker out?
Yeah, our main kicker Dustin Hopkins is out, so we're having to use Riley Patterson, I believe his name is. So
Does that concern you in the game plan at any? With having a backup kicker.
It certainly does. Because, Dustin Hopkins made a lot of key field goals for us during the season. So I think it certainly changes things having to go to a backup kicker. But since this game is indoors at NRG Stadium, I don't think weather's really going to be a factor. So it's not that much of a concern. Whereas if we were playing at an outdoor stadium, it would be.
I can respect it. I definitely can respect that. And I want to get my score prediction, but I can't give it yet. But we'll definitely be dropping it tomorrow. So, I mean, anything else, any other concerns that you think the Texans fans should have? That maybe something that's not talked about in the mainstream media, something, because, a lot of times, they just kind of, take the highlights, they gloss over a lot of stuff. Something that maybe only a real Browns fan would notice. For instance, maybe one of those fan favorites that you have. A lot of teams have the fan favorites that doesn't necessarily get a lot of shine in the media, but is kind of a guy that is looked up favorably around town. Who would you say that was for the Browns?
Oh boy. Man. Nick Chubb was definitely a fan favorite, but he got all the media attention and stuff, and I can't wait for him to come back fully healthy next season. I've liked what we have at running back with Jerome Ford and bringing back Kareem Hunt. So I'll be curious to see how much we utilize the run game tomorrow. That's another big thing I'm watching is, do we come out on the first series looking to establish the run, or do we come out with, a big play action pass like we did on the first play of the game? I believe it was last game where we hit that deep pass to Amari on like the very first play of the game following the kickoff. So, yeah,
And so
that's really what I'm.
Yeah, and again, like I said,
What's dial?
And I think that, in that first game, did have a lot of success with that. Because Maury had what? I think I jotted down 11 fucking catches for 265 fucking yards. That was ridiculous, almost 300 yards. But again, he did have a catch on Stingley. He had a couple of catches on starters, but he definitely ate on Ross, and he ate on that other guy. I can't even think of his name. Damn, I can't think of his name right now. But he had some guys success on guys who were just, they were able to take advantage. I mean, that's what smart teams do. When they see a weakness, you definitely take advantage of that. But also, again, like I say, with us having that firepower as well now, because, I mean, you see CJ, he's able to, he doesn't get a lot of credit for his arm strength for whatever reason, but CJ can air it out. I want to say against the Jags, he would have had the record for the longest air yard pass if they wouldn't have called whatever mysterious penalty they called that second time we played the Jags. So he's a guy that definitely got out. And again, in that Indy game, you saw him and Nico, that combination. So,
oh yeah. By the way, you guys should have won that second game against Jacksonville. I have no idea what the refs were doing.
Yeah, don't tell that to Jags fans. They don't. I mean, that was just a horribly officiated game all the way around on both sides. It was a terrible game.
Yeah, I was. Even though I'm not a Texans fan or a Jaguars fan, I was not happy about that game at all. Let me ask you a question about that, though. Yes, not about that game specifically, but, we've seen a lot of controversial referee calls throughout the season.
Yeah.
Do you think the refs could play a factor in deciding the outcome of the game tomorrow?
Absolutely. If I'm not mistaken, I believe one of the refs of the crew is the same that was in that Jags game. So that's actually something that does concern me because I believe that crew, I was looking at the ref stats. There's a ref stats page I follow. I want to say they're like one of the most likely to call defensive pass interference, things like that. And so, again, if you got aggressive corners, that can be questionable because, I mean, you're talking about huge chunk plays that could be given up for questionable calls, right? Right. That does concern me. That could go either way. You know what I mean? So I hope that, these guys have been talked to because there has been a lot of conflict, a lot of flack. I want to say there's been a crew that's actually been demoted. And so I hope that the NFL is saying, hey, look, let these guys play. Unless it's egregious, unless it's, something, let them play. Because I think it kills the game for everybody. Even if you're not necessarily a fan of the particular team, you just, hey, I just want to watch some good football. It ruins it for everybody. And that was kind of more my take in that game too. Let them play. Let the outcome of the game be decided, on the field by the players, not by, refs with bad opinions or bad vision or whatever the hell they got going on. So,
what I do find funny though is when they call holding, I always react the same way. I'm like, you could freaking call holding on just about every play. Because just watch the game. There is holding on every single fucking snap.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Everyone. Okay. So I see some people saying that, what, Brickford? No, Brickford, I don't want to hear because you're a Davis Mills fan. I don't want to talk to you, Brickford. You in the chat, you've been pro Davis Mills on their shenanigans. Brickford don't know what he's talking about. But, yeah, man, and so it is. And that's also kind of a quiet concern, but I'm not a person that wants to put a bunch of blame. I mean, it has to be something egregious, kind of like that Jags game. And it was a couple, who was it? I want to say it was a primetime game. They had a real terrible situation going on. But, I don't want to blame it on the refs. If the Texans I feel like if the Texans go out and play their game and not try to play to competition, but play their game, their brand of football, they're extremely hard to beat. And I feel like last meeting, the fact that we were not able to keep the offense on the field, eventually the defense got tired. When you get tired, your mind, the mental fatigue sets in. And, that's why I said Maury was able to eat them up, kept them on their heels. And again, like when you don't have some of your star players or some of your, your statistical leaders available, you can get taken advantage of. And I think things just happened early. It got to a situation where we just weren't able to climb back in it. I don't think that happens this week. I think because we're in a situation where how you guys were able to strike us early, we're in a position where we're able to strike back just as quickly. When that play happened, you knew that there was nothing Case was going to do anything like that. Davis was not going to do anything like that. And I think that kind of broke the team a little bit defensively early on, or even mentally, and they just never quite recovered, and it was just kind of ugly after that. But I think this time with CJ being available, I think that instills a level of confidence on that defense. So if you do give one up, hey, we're in this game. We're never really out of it with CJ Stroud. So I think that is definitely going to be a different outcome. But so we get ready to do, probably get ready to wind it down here. Because I know, shout out to Spitz. I know Spitz is going to be live. Fellow member of South Nation, the round table. So I know Spitz is going to be going live here in a little bit. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. Mr. Unger, anything you want to say to Sauce Nation? Shout out to everybody who has subscribed to Unger's channel. I'm going to put the link in there one more time. Make y'all show Mr. Unger some love for coming in the Sauce and, blessing us with some Browns talk. I'm not going to give Mr. Unger the business because he's been very respectful. He's been real cool. But some of them other Browns fans, y'all already know what I got for them. But shout out to Mr. Unger. We've been rocking for a few years. It's been a while since we've been able to reconnect, but I'm definitely glad we did. But anything you want to tell, Sauce Nation, Texans fans out there who are watching, just, about yourself, the channel, the team, anything, whatever's on your mind, sir.
Yeah, so first I want to respond to something you were just saying about how this time around, you guys are going to have the ability to respond if we go down and score a touchdown or kick a field goal, whatever. I think that needs to be part of the Browns' game plan, is to have long, sustained drives so that CJ and the Texans' offense has to stay on the sideline. That's part of the reason why I'm saying I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, because I want the Browns to come out, have these long, 4 to 5 minute drives or whatever, because I know what CJ Stroud can do. I've seen what Nico Collins can do. I've seen what Dalton Schultz can do. I've seen what Singletary can do. You spoke about him earlier. So given the firepower the Texans have offensively, even without Tank Dell, I want the Browns to go out. If they can get a quick score, that's great. I'll take it. Points are points. But if we can put together long, sustained drives, that keeps your offense on the sidelines. It helps our defense rest. And I think that just kind of favors us. But do you want to respond to that? Or?
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of the thing, too. And that's why I say, as far as those long, sustained drives, because I feel like we are capable of doing this. And that's why I did mention Singletary being able to sustain the run. Again, a good mix of the run and the pass. I think it'll be more difficult. I think in my opinion, the passing game will favor you guys more so than the running game, because I want to say we were having the lowest yards per carry allowed, something like that. I know fucking Taylor ran, I'm sure he definitely ran that average way up, but it was still, I want to believe it was still something like 3.3 or something like that, 3.2, 3.1, somewhere around 3 something. So I don't know, and that's why I find it interesting. If we can get out early, and I feel like if we can make you guys one-dimensional, I feel like it's in our favor. Because we got guys who can rush the passer in those type of situations. So I find it very interesting to see what you guys are going to do. I don't think Flacco's going to be able to perform the way he did. I don't think he's going to have that time. And so I'm actually very curious myself to see what approach the Browns take. If they take a similar game plan than they did last time and just say, you're going to have to beat us. Or, if they approach it a little bit differently, because you do have a guy on the other side of the ball who is just as capable of performing as well as Joe Flacco, if not better, So I think that's something you have to take into account. And I just kind of find it really interesting to see how they're going to approach it, because I think it's going to be difficult for them to run the ball. And so I feel like you're going to have to make Joe Flacco beat you. And if you can make them truly one-dimensional, I do believe it ends up in the Texans' favor. So
I also am going to be very curious to see how CJ Stroud handles being in the playoffs. I know he was in that awesome college football playoff semifinal game against Georgia last year, I think it was, or whatever. But the NFL playoffs are completely different. So I'm going to be very curious to see how does CJ Stroud handle being in that environment, because that's where I think Joe Flacco has the advantage. He's been in the playoffs. He's led a team to the Super Bowl. So he knows, not to get too high, not to get too low. He knows how to kind of level it out. And a lot of our guys were either have some type of playoff experience with us from just a couple years ago, or in the case of Juan Thornhill, he was with the Chiefs for a bunch of their playoff runs and stuff. I don't like talking about that divisional round game against the Kansas City Chiefs because that was a targeting call. That was a bullshit touchback rule.
No.
I don't like talking about that game. No. But in terms of anything else, I love talking with you when the Browns play the Texans. It's always fun.
Absolutely.
I'm glad we were able to connect this time around after missing each other on Christmas Eve. But I don't think it's going to be anything like last game. That's why I've said throughout this show I'm not really reading into that matchup too much because CJ Stroud was not there. You guys had injuries and stuff. So it's a different Texans team we're playing. But yeah, if you haven't done so, make sure you come over, subscribe to my channel. I love doing these video collaborations throughout the season. I'm trying to do a video collaboration for every game on the Browns schedule. Unfortunately, I have yet to be able to achieve that goal because of various things, but I'm going to keep pushing forward and trying to do them. And I make other content about the NBA, stuff in the NFL, a little bit of UFC content. I love me some Ultimate Fighting Championship, a little bit of AEW and WWE stuff from time to time. But it's I primarily keep it Cleveland sports based with the Browns and the Cavaliers being the central focus. So yeah. And also in my community tab, go over and vote because I made a poll for this game. I made a poll for the Rams Lions game. I made a poll for Packers Cowboys, and I made a poll for Dolphins Chiefs. So go over, vote on those polls. Come join Max Nation, as I like to call it. You don't have to leave Sauce Nation, though. Stay subscribed to Sauce Sports. But if you could come over, subscribe to my channel, help me get to 600, that'd be amazing. So, like I said, before I came on here, I was only like 64 subscribers away, something like that, if I'm doing the math right. So, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, shout out to Mr. Unger again for, coming through and lacing us up. Looks like I think when I checked it was 4 or 546. So it looks like you got about 8 or 9 more that have joined. So shout out to everybody, those of you Sauce Nation who slid over to Unger's channel and showed some love immediately. So I definitely appreciate it. And like I said, definitely shout out to Mr. Unger again. Anytime you need some Texans content, you need a Texans collab, we definitely available here at the Sauce. And like I say, eventually gonna get back to some more of the NBA talk. So maybe if we catch a Cleveland and Rockets game or something like that, I've got to check this because I've been out on the
March 16th, we play each other down in Houston, which I'm trying to see if I can talk with a couple friends to actually go to that game at the Toyota Center. Okay. So maybe I'll be down in Houston for that game. Okay. By the way, I just want to say this. Yeah. I've been to the city of Houston once for a Rockets game, and I love the city down there. You guys have done a great job building that city up. So on every other football weekend, I wish you the best of luck, but I can't. I can't do that tomorrow, man. I just can't. I just can't.
It's all good. It's definitely understood, man. So how about this? Maybe not tomorrow, maybe Sunday or Monday when we're covering, depending on how all things get out. Maybe we can link back up and we can talk about what happened, the good, the bad, the ugly. And, we'll see what happens. Just let me know. You let me know if you're available. Maybe we can make that happen.
Again, just want to say, I do have Texans memorabilia, so I'm not leaving you out in the cold.
Alrighty. Salute to Mr. Unger, man. I definitely appreciate you being here. shout out, man. If you fucking with the sauce, y'all fucking with Unger. You know the sauce is real. We real selective over here. So if we rock with Unger, we fucking with it for a reason. So go ahead and go show some love to the channel, man. Let's help Unger get to 600. I think he's about a little less than 50 away. So y'all make sure y'all go show some love over there. And again, salute to Unger. Like I say, we're gonna see what happens tomorrow. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your score prediction with us. And like I say, just rocking with us as a whole, man. Thank you. And again, much love and much success on your journeys and your goals, man. So I appreciate you coming through, Mr. Unger. Shout out to Sauce Nation. Y'all already know how we rocking over here. So what we gonna do tomorrow, real quick before I sign off, we will be pre-gaming. We'll have a pre-game tomorrow. We'll be a pre-game stream. We'll be a post-game stream.
I'll tune in for that. You know that.
No, I bet. And we'll have a sauce line open, so maybe in the post-game stream, maybe you can get in on the sauce line and call him. We can chop it up, see how you felt about the game. Broderick, yeah, you probably subscribed Broderick the last time he was on. You're a terrible person, Broderick, but thank you for subscribing to Unger's channel. You know what I'm saying? Rube Dog. We'll see. Anyway, shout out to Mr. Unger, man. We'll get up out of here. Spitz is going to be going live, so make sure if y'all ain't subscribed to Spitz, he's going to be going live doing his preview for the Texans and Browns. Make sure y'all check that out. Den folk, I know everybody who fuck with the Den, y'all been mad at me this week. It's a playoff weekend. It's a playoff weekend, and it's the playoffs. So y'all know I'm lacking a little bit on that. So we're going to be in the Discord chopping up on that. Shout out to Mr. Unger with the Browns and the Texans, man. I appreciate you coming through. And again, we'll see you real soon. We'll see what the outcome is. Sauce Nation, y'all be cool like y'all be cool. But most of all, y'all stay saucy. Htown, we out. Until mañana, let's go Texans. And shout out to
Browns.
The Browns. And shout out to the Browns, I guess. I ain't shouting out the Browns. Shout out to Unger. I'm not shouting out the Browns. Shout out to Unger. I ain't shouting out the Browns.
All right, I appreciate it. Hey, I'm not going to shout out the Texans for this week, but shout out to Sauce Sports.
All right, I'm rocking with it. I'm with that. I'm down with that. That's a bet, Mr. Unger. I appreciate you coming through, man. Sauce Nation, we out. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool. Stay saucy. We gone. Go watch Spitz now.